I'm sure he loves it when you pet him like that on his head. Like, yeah, he looks thrilled. He's cute.
Well, we are all packed up and our week has sadly come to a close here at Bowen Lodge. We had an exciting time here, doing all kinds of things, water activities, and even some of the kids got to go fishing, and had a fun time here with our family, but it is time to move on.
Yeah, so my parents started taking me here in 1999, that summer, and so I was 15, I think, the first time I was here, and we came several years in a row back then, and then I haven't, well, we came once the year we were married, and then my parents, they come here every year, but we haven't been since. But it was really fun to see the kids enjoy the place too, and they got a lot of fun time with their cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and they kind of could they had free reign to kind of roam around because it's a pretty safe, small place, and so that was really fun for them. I think they had a lot more freedom than they would at home here, so they could go from cabin to camper or whatever, and so they enjoyed running around like that.
Yep, I think they're sad to see their cousins go, but we have a few more places left on this tour of the upper Midwest, and we're going to head to the North Shore of Minnesota up along Lake Superior for a bit before we head home, so onward we go. We made it to a wayside rest here on the North Shore, Highway 61, and we saw that there's a waterfall here too, so we're gonna take this little hike out and check out Caribou Falls, I believe it's called. We have arrived at Caribou Falls. This might be one of the coolest waterfalls we've seen this whole trip. There's some really high cliffs here that it's pouring out from a little cleft up there. And there's a huge pool at the bottom of them that you can swim in if you want to. This is our campsite here at Cascade River State Park. Got a nice pull-through site and no neighbors, so can't complain about that. We are walking along the cascades of the Cascade River here at Cascade River State Park. It's pretty amazing. There's all kinds of little waterfalls as this river falls down through this deep canyon in the rock. And there's little pools that are kind of carved out below each level of the cascades. It's really neat. What do you think?
I think it's really pretty. And like the waterfalls are smoothing out the rocks, so it's like a bowl shape.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that cool how it's all smooth like a bowl? Yeah, pretty cool. The girls found this pine tree here that has a crazy amount of burls on it. I've never seen anything like it. The whole tree is burls. The river empties out under the highway bridge straight into Lake Superior. It's just a short walk down here to the lake along the waterfall from our campground, so it's pretty neat that we have all this scenery with nothing more than a maybe quarter-mile hike at most. It's pretty cool. Right now it's kind of foggy out there in the lake. The water's so cold, even though it's warmer by the shore, there's still this layer of fog hanging out. We are taking off from our campsite here at Cascade River State Park, and we're going to head up the highway up the North Shore here and work our way all the way to the Canadian border, which is about 45 miles away. So that will get that end of the North Shore highway before we do the southern half when we leave here. This is Grand Marais. It's the second Grand Marais we've been in on this trip. The other was in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This one seems to be a bit bigger of a town than the Michigan version, though. Our first stop of the day was at the Grand Portage National Monument. Here's stuff they used to collect maple syrup from the maple trees, or maple sugar, I guess, which they made into syrup. We are at Grand Portage National Monument here in the North Shore of Minnesota. This is historically where the voyageurs from France would bring their pelts on a portage around the Pigeon River, which has a bunch of waterfalls. And we're at the depot on the Lake Superior shoreline, and this is where the voyageurs would bring their pelts and they would load them on boats and sail them back to Montreal from here. This was run by the Northwest Company of Great Britain back in the 1700s, and there's a lot of history here, and the local Ojibwe Indians also helped the Europeans at the time to find the beavers and would help them trap them, and also participated in the fur trade. So there's a lot of history here. It's a really neat place, and we're going to explore some of the restored stockade and village that surround this place. Wow. This is where they stored their boats, huh, Nolan? This is one of the big, huge voyageur canoes where they would have like 12 guys in it rowing all at the same time. They could transport a lot of cargo in this thing.
It was like 16.
16 guys maybe would be in it. How long is this, does it say? I mean, I would say it's at least 30 feet long, maybe. I mean, it's huge for a canoe.
It was pliable.
That's incredible. That's very cool.
He uses kind of like a clamp. You know, to hold the, see now, I've got it tight. This is a draw knife. It's kind of hard, you can't hardly hurt yourself with it because your elbows stop you. Then you can just carve and stuff like that.
Is this the kitchen? So guys, the forts that we visited earlier were from the late 1800s, and this is a recreation from the 1700s, so 100 years earlier. So some of the stuff might look a little bit different. Is this the storage room where they stored stuff? Oh, they got a well in here. You know what that is, or they just kept stuff cool down in there, maybe? So at this fort, it looks like the oven is actually out here. This stone oven.
I like how she has to see for herself when it says caution hot.
Some of the forts we looked at earlier on this trip that were from the late 1800s all had giant black potbelly stoves, metal stoves, but this is 100 years earlier, so it looks like they had to fashion one out of clay and dirt and stones. I wonder how often in this fort it looked like this, with this crazy fog rolling in off the lake. Great Hall. Wow. This would have been filled with voyageurs, and like this is where they said that they had great banquets and dances and probably had music in here back in the day. Pretty neat, huh? So which one is the softest?
Okay, thank you. This one?
The muskrat's the softest?
This one? Or this one? Or the beaver? Do you guys understand why they needed the beaver fur so much? Yeah.
Because beavers are waterproof because they swim in the water all the time, so they make hats out of them and their hat would be waterproof. A little too big for you? Nolan found his suit for next Easter. Some little knickers. This is a recreation of the trade store here at the depot. They have all the different variety of furs that they would have traded back in the day. This is how they guarded the gate. The kids are standing here at the beginning or end of the Grand Portage, which, how far did it go? 8.5 miles from here to Fort Charlotte. So this trail went around the rapids on the Pigeon River, and this is where it came out at the depot here on Lake Superior. This is the end of it. Think about 300 years ago, there were a bunch of French guys carrying giant canoes down this trail. Isn't that silly to think about? They have very strange leaves on them. They're like almost like long pine needles or something. Eventually it will go to Lake Superior. The kids just completed their junior ranger books here at Grand Portage National Monument, and they got a nifty little patch with a cute little beaver guy on it. That's Lake Superior out there, hidden behind that bank of fog. Down that road there is the Canadian border. We're right at the end of the road for Minnesota here in the North Shore. Now we know why they needed a Grand Portage, huh, Nolan? This is the high falls of the Pigeon River up here. This is why, one of the reasons why they built the Grand Portage, to get their canoes full of beaver pelts around this crazy waterfall, and I think there's some other waterfalls as well as rapids also along this river. Also, right over there on the opposite shore, that is Canada. This river, the Pigeon River, marks the international border between the United States and Canada. Pretty cool. Is this the biggest one we've seen, do you think? Yeah. It's definitely the tallest.